Hi, I'm Ian. I'm an acting supervisor in the control room at Avon and Somerset Police Constabulary's Communication Centre.
And when a missing persons call comes in, can you tell me what your role is? At what point do you step in?
Well, once the call handler has taken as much of the information as they possibly can, the log appears on my screen. And as a supervisor, it's one of the major roles that we have within our remit in the job is to risk assess. And that is basically given the initial information to give the officers on the ground a very brief risk assessment over what we consider their threat, the harm or risk to them or other members of the public are.
And what sort of timescale are we talking about here? How quickly does it go through to you?
Well, we receive the log in exactly the same time that the call handler puts the log on the screen. We get the information pretty much as they take it from the caller. So if it's a high-risk missing person, we're able to make those sort of judgments as the caller is passing the information to our call handler.
And what sort of criteria do you use to assess how it should be graded?
We use what's called a Thrive matrix, which primarily looks at the threat, the harm, the risk that either that individual could be faced with or other members of the public, maybe their friends, their family, or just general members of the public that they may come in contact with. So using various amounts of, using the threat, harm, risk matrix and also the national decision-making model, which we constantly go round and round in our head about reassessing things as we get more and more information, we're able to come up with a risk grading fairly quickly after the phone call's been concluded.
And how important are those first initial 5 minutes, say, while the call's in process?
Well, as the information comes on, that's the crux of it. That is how we manage to do our risk assessment. What's important then is that the officers on the ground and the inspector who will take initial control over the log is able to get the relevant police officers to the scene, to the place where that person is missing from, to get more detailed information. And that's where the real investigation starts. Unless, of course, it's a high-risk missing person, and there may well be telephone conversations that we can have in the control room. We might be able to get our intel unit to work, and also our colleagues in our mental health triage department as well. All can be doing some background work while the call is still coming on. So it's really important that once we get that initial information from the call handler, that we're able to make that initial risk assessment. That determines how quickly we can actually make a start on it.
And how do you deal with the responsibility of making that initial call that then is fed through to the police officers?
I think with the training that we've had as supervisors, we get a lot of training when it comes to dealing with threat, harm and risk and how we grade that. We all sing from the same hymn sheet. We all we are consistent with how we grade our MISPers, and we know how important that is as part of our role. A large amount of the jobs on our screen, certainly from a supervisor's point of view, the responsibility lies with us in order to initially risk assess. So it is part and parcel of the job, but we do really understand how important it is.
And do you see a great number of cases of missing people coming through?
We do. As I say, from my point of view as a supervisor, which is one of the primary roles in the control room, I'd say there's a substantial amount of the jobs that I would risk assess involve missing people. So we're probably looking 30-40% of the risk assessments are around sort of the concern for welfare, the missing people type of jobs. Although we are constantly looking at the threat, harm, risk levels involved in any other job that we come in contact with.
Thank you very much.